welcome to Tips and Tricks for Using the New Outlook and New Teams. I have been sending out a lot of information about this because it is coming down the pipeline and we will all have to get used to these new changes. So I wanted to give you all an opportunity to join the webinar and be able to, ask questions and answers. I know a lot of you have been reaching out to me about some features that you're not seeing in New Outlook that you are used to using in the classic Outlook. So we can also talk about that. And obviously, again, just going over a few little tips and tricks, new features that'll show up in New Outlook and New Teams that you may have not been aware of that are there. So again, welcome, and let's get started. And I would say another minute. We'll start the actual presentation. And again, I'm just going to go over these few things that you see here, and then we'll leave the end to Q&A, and we'll turn on the ability for you to turn on cameras and unmute at the end for the Q&A session. Sorry, my throat is a little dry today. I'm hoping I'm not coming down with something, but that's kind of what I am dealing with today.
Spit it out, Theresa.
I know. I'm like, ugh. Okay, so again, welcome, and we will get started in 1 minute.
Just a reminder, as Teresa's going through her presentation portion of the webinar, if you have questions that come up and you don't want to, forget them, use the chat, and then we'll go through the chat towards the end, and we'll make sure that all your questions are addressed.
That is correct. And again, don't panic. New Outlook and New Teams is going to be okay. I know a few people have reached out to me. Again, not seeing some features in especially New Outlook that you are used to using. We'll address all of that at the end of this webinar after we go through a couple of things. And we will always find a way.
Just remember, just remember, life vests are located under your seat.
There you go.
And really, all that is Teresa's signature because she's here to help.
Yep, there you go. Exactly. All right, so we will get started. I think we are ready to go. I am going to minimize this, and I'm going to pull up. I'm going to start with New Teams really quick. I just want to show you some of the environment changes. So in New Teams, again, because I think I'm going to start with New Teams because there's not that much that is really changing with Teams, but just a few key pieces that I think are important to show. So you will know that you are in New Teams if you have toggled on the Try New Teams option, which would be on the top left-hand side of your Teams desktop application. They also just released the ability for you to turn on the new Teams experience in the web version of Microsoft Teams as well. That was not available a couple of weeks ago. It is now currently available. So if you want to also turn on New Teams in the web version, you now have the ability to do that as well. Again, in the top left-hand corner of your screen is where you would have that toggle feature to turn on New Teams. So right now you can see that I am in New Teams because I can see the icon on the top left-hand side that says New over the Teams icon. That's first and foremost.
Theresa, correct me if I'm wrong. You can, and I have, so I'm going to assume it's correct. You can run both side by side. So you can tell it to download the latest version of Teams, and you can actually have both running. So don't feel like once you download or turn on the new Teams, you're kind of stuck there. The other older Teams will still be available to you.
That's correct. I actually have on my regular desktop, not the one here because I'm in 1B right now, but on my regular desktop upstairs, I actually have the new Teams pinned as well as old Teams, and I can jump between both if I need to, but you can always turn that button, that toggle switch off, and it'll pop you back into the old Teams as well. Just keep in mind that New Teams will be the only option we're thinking around spring. You'll get a lot of communications regarding that, so don't worry, it won't just be turned on or turned off for you without warning. But it is important for you to all get in and start playing with new teams and new Outlook just to get comfortable. New Outlook, you do have until the end of 2024 at this point, and then it will not be available. The Classic will not be available at all. So we're kind of holding on to the Classic version option as long as we possibly can, but Microsoft really sets those parameters, and by the end of 2024, Classic Outlook will not be available. So just keep those dates in mind. And of course, we will communicate with everyone and give you, enough heads up and enough training to understand any of those changes that are coming along. So environment changes in new teams is not that dramatic. The one major change that I actually really love is if you are in your team and you're in a channel, you actually can set the post feed to go top to bottom as opposed to bottom to top, which I personally think is a better option. It's more natural for us to read from top to bottom than bottom up. So in the channels, you can click on the 3 dots in your teams and then change that option for seeing new posts at top or bottom. If you've never played with this or touched this, your post will be at the bottom. So it will say, see new post at top, which I already have turned on. So I think that's a really, really great feature. I definitely recommend you checking that option out, because again, it's just a more natural way to read as opposed from bottom up. The other feature is all of the channel details are now in this hidden Windows pane that you can always open and close. You can see who's in the channel or the team. You get to see the description, and you can manage your channel, find anything in the current channel. It's almost like a search feature. These are also some great tools. If anything is pinned, any files or any comments are pinned in the channel, you will also see that in this pane here. So just some other little features that have been changed, but again, nothing major. The other option that actually we came across that I definitely want to show you. Let's see if I can find something. So a lot of times people have been complaining about the fact that when they open up a file in Teams, whether it's new Teams or the current Classic Teams, that they really don't like the way that it opens. If it opens in Teams or on the web when you click on the file, it distorts the way that it looks, and people really want their files to open in the native desktop apps. So guess what? There is definitely a way to do that. So instead of clicking on the file itself, you want to actually right-click on the file and then go to Open. Here you can actually choose if you want this file to open in the desktop app, in the browser window, or in Teams. You can actually choose. So if you don't click on the file itself, you have the option to choose. But even better than that, you actually have the option to change the default, meaning when you do click on the file, how it will open for you. So if you click Change Default, you can see here that my default is now set to be the browser, meaning when I click on a file, it's going to open in the web. I don't want that. I actually want it to open in the desktop app. So once you set this, it'll be set for your whole Teams environment. In Classic Teams, you may not see all 3 of these options in Change Your Default. You may only see 2. Some people have reported seeing the 3 in new Teams. Some people have reported only seeing 2 options, opening in Teams and opening in browser. So you definitely want to switch over to new Teams and set this to open in your desktop app if that is something you want to happen when you are working with files in Teams. I know this is something that I've come across and people have brought to my attention a lot over the past couple of weeks. So I definitely wanted to make sure that I showed you that. And again, keep in mind that once you set the default, It is for all of your files and teams, not just that specific file or that specific channel. And it is only, the setting only applies to that specific device. So you may need to do this if you work on more than one device. You may need to do it again on that other device. Okay, let me see. In new teams, you also have a new icon here called the Meet icon. It is kind of a revamped way to see all of your meetings, your team's meetings, in a nice, clear view. I think this is a really nice feature. You get to see what meetings you have coming up. So those are your team's meetings that are coming up. You have the ability to open your calendar right here. You can actually search your recent meetings, find recordings easily, find the content that was shared in meetings, all right here on this one screen. So that you can find in the Meet app. If you don't see it here on the left-hand side, you can search for it if you click the 3 dots. The other thing I wanted to point out is that the files icon in Classic Teams has now changed over to what we call OneDrive, which we should all be familiar with. And I'm very glad that Microsoft made this change, because when you click on this icon, it brings you to your OneDrive. It gives you access to your files, but it was called Files as opposed to OneDrive in Teams, and that could be very confusing. So they finally updated that and made it be called, changed the name to OneDrive, and also changed the icon to match the OneDrive icon. So that's another great update that has come up now as well. And again, when you click that icon, it actually looks just like the web version of OneDrive. What's up next? I think for the most part, the rest, the only other little things that I wanted to be able to show you, and I don't think I can actually show you because I'm in Teams, but I'm just going to quickly bring this up. There's some new features when you want to have a background. They have something new called Portrait Blur. So it kind of blurs your background, but makes you look more pronounced. So, you know, we have the normal background blur, but this is now called the portrait blur. So it's a new update for you to choose from when you choose your background in a Teams meeting. So that is pretty much it for new Teams. I'm going to hop over to new Outlook because I know that's where most of you have a lot of questions and concerns. So I definitely want to make sure we live in this space a little bit and go through some of the new features. So this is new Outlook. If you have not toggled on new Outlook, you will do that on the right-hand side of Classic Outlook. So new Teams you would turn on the left-hand side, new Outlook you turn on the right-hand side. You can see here I have the option now to turn it off. If I did that, it would pop me back into the classic version of Outlook. But again, as Cliff said before, if you want the ability to go in and out of both, once you have that version opened, on the bottom of your screen, just pin that icon. So this way you can pop back and forth into both. That's something you can absolutely do, but you can also just turn the toggle switch on and off. Again, just as a reminder, new Outlook will be, Classic Outlook will be available to the end of 2024, but it will then not be available at all. So please just start getting used to playing in this environment. At the current moment, this environment is still in preview or beta. It hasn't been fully released yet, which means that a lot of the features and actions are still being released. They're still adding new things, still updating very often, actually. So I know a lot of you are concerned about some of the tools that you use in Classic are not showing up in the new Outlook just yet. So Microsoft's answer to that is, if it never shows up, it's because there's a tool in the new version that does that action better. So that just means we have to find a plan B or we have to find that new tool for you. So just always let me know. I know people have reached out about not being able to work with attachments the same way that they normally would work with attachments in New Outlook. I know a lot of people have reached out about quick steps or templates. So those are two big ones that I have definitely gotten a lot of feedback about, and we will definitely keep an eye on and keep updating you as the features come about. So let me just go through a couple of really great features in New Outlook that you cannot do in Classic Outlook. So for one, pinning your emails, which I think is a really strong feature. You can see here I have 2 emails pinned to the top of my inbox. Any email that you get in your feed can be pinned, which means it pops it up to the top of your inbox and it won't get lost in the mix of your email inbox feed. You just hover over the email, click that little pin, and it will pop that right up to the top. And it will stay there unless you unpin it. So that's a really strong feature of New Outlook. Another really strong feature is the ability to schedule emails. That's actually what I use to schedule my What the Tech emails that go out every Thursday. In Classic Outlook, you don't have the ability to do that. So I really love the ability to do that. You also can do these actions in the web version. So anything I'm showing you here in New Outlook, you also can find in the web version of Outlook as well. So for example, if I wanted to send out an email, but I didn't want that email to go out at the current moment, and I also didn't want it to live in drafts because then I'll forget to send it out, you just would click this drop down here next to send and then go to schedule send. Here's where you can choose a custom date and time of when you want that email to be sent. And again, this is great because you just set it and forget it and just know that it will be sent out at that date and time that you chose. So it's a really, really great feature. Search bar in not only new teams, but also in New Outlook is stronger than the classic versions. You really have the ability to filter. Sorry. Didn't mean to do that. I got to move this little box. Okay, sorry. There we go. You have the ability to search. Sorry about that. You have the ability to search in New Outlook. You can drill down and search by specific keywords, subject, a date, attachments. You could search the current mailbox or any of these other mailboxes that you have set up. In the new teams, the search box is really, really great. You can search in there for people, messages, files, and more. So really, the search feature or the search bar in any of the Microsoft applications are great. It kind of eliminates you spending time searching through things. You really could just type a keyword that you think is part of what you're looking for, and it will pull up anything that has that word. So if I just type in tech, right, you can see here I can find tech in all of these different messages. I can find the word tech in this channel. I can find the word tech in these people's names, group chats, and any file that I have that has the word tech in it. So again, just really strong features in the search bar. Definitely highly recommend using them. And, oh, somebody's calling me here. That's interesting. All right. I wanted to show you 2 more things in New Outlook, and then we're going to open up the floor to questions and answers. So let me just make this bigger. So in New Outlook, if you click on New Email and you need to attach a file, instead of going to Insert, I wonder if I can. Oh.
Welcome to the.
Oh boy. Oh my goodness. Trying to delete this and it's not working. Okay. Sorry, everyone. In New Outlook, if you need to attach a file, instead of going to Insert and then going to Attach File and finding the file, a super new feature that is great and so easy to use is you just put the backslash and then your most recent files will show up here. Then you can just click on the file and it will attach right away into the body of the email. However, if you don't see the file that you're trying to attach, 1 second, I'm going to go backslash. You could start typing the name of the file And it will pull up all of the files that have that name so that you can then attach the correct file into your email. So it just becomes a super fast way to attach files into the body of your email that you're sending. And the last feature I wanted to show you in New Outlook that I think is really great, if you come up to the top of the screen on the right-hand side, there's a little icon that says My Day. So if you click that, it pops up your calendar for the day right away, but then it also has this option called To Do. This is a really, really great feature because you can take an email. So for example, if I take this email and I click and hold it, I can drag this into my to-do section and choose if that email is going to be added as an event on my calendar or as an event or as a task in my to-do list. So that is another really nice feature that New Outlook has. Just click, hold, and drag that email and drop it in the correct area. If I put it as an event, it'll pop open the calendar event box and I can schedule that. If not, I can also put it as a task and it will just show up in my task list here. So hopefully some of those become some great features that motivate and encourage you to use the new Outlook or the new Teams. And now we are opening up the floor for you to be able to ask questions. It doesn't look like there's anything in the chat. Oh, I have one thing. Liz says, does this work for Adobe? So we'll find out what she meant by that. But we are going to open up the floor. Cliff, were you changing the settings or did you?
Trying to find it.
Oh, okay.
If you beat me to it, go for it.
Yep, I got it.
You got it? All right.
Yep.
Oh, I found it. There it is.
I got it. Okay.
You got it? All right.
Yep. You all have the ability now to either unmute or turn on your cameras, ask questions. This is your opportunity.
Do you hear me now?
Yes, I hear you.
So my question was, when you were
freaky.
choosing the default app, for some reason, I don't get that option for Adobe.
In new Teams?
In new Teams. So for instance, I grabbed a file for Word and I said default app. And then when I grab a file for Adobe, hit those three buttons, that choice is not there.
Yeah, I don't think the feature for Adobe, I haven't seen the feature for open in Adobe yet. I've only seen the three options, which are open in the app, which in their version, in their mind means they're Microsoft apps, not Adobe.
Okay, so then the other question I have is the one for send later or delay send.
Yeah. Schedule send, yeah.
In the old version, when you delayed it, you had to open up Outlook in order for the delay to work. Is that the same in this version?
Nope, and that's what's so great about it because it's cloud-based. Yep, and that's why you currently also had the option to do that in the web version as well, because those things don't need to be open, right, or on in order for those things in order for those emails to go out. But in the new Outlook, yep, huge feature. Of course, yeah. Thank you for your questions. Anybody else? Anybody else? I know the Adobe thing was also brought up, Liz, especially for Human Resources Department. So that's definitely something that we can continue to monitor because I know that's big for you guys to be able to just click on something and it opens in Adobe. So hopefully we can navigate some settings or something maybe we can change that will make that happen. And I also know for HR, we also came across some issues with mail merges. Not working properly in Teams, in the Teams environment. So there are some things that we do have to kind of work through that is definitely on our radar. So it's good that you all bring these type of things to our attention so that we can always be monitoring and looking for a way around that.
Yeah, and it's so like for me, I discovered that I use Notes in Outlook, and in the new Outlook, Notes is not there. So after a little bit of research, what I found out was that the notes in the classic Outlook, actually, if you opened up sticky notes on your machine, sticky notes is where those live now. But but it's a separate application and it won't live directly within Outlook once they force us over into their new platform.
Okay.
And I
Okay.
also
Some important stuff, right? Because I keep some important stuff in my notes, right?
Yes.
And all of a sudden I switched over and my notes are gone, and I had a
Panic
about well, not a panic attack, but
well, I mean, I would if I lost my OneNotes. I could tell you that.
yeah.
But I also think that they want you to use their app. So I think the ability to pop things into OneNote from Outlook is also another option. So I think that's something that we can also kind of look into, or even using the to-do feature. But it's not the same as sticky notes. So it depends on how you're using it, and I think that's always a big important thing that I ask anyone that reaches out to me for any help. It's, I need context. How are you using the tool so that we can help work around it?
There's a question from Andrew. So a couple of questions in the chat, Theresa. If you have a personal account and a department account, will everything remain the same? And if you're, Kim, if you're referring to the ability to have multiple accounts, then yes, the new Outlook will support having multiple accounts. If you want to clarify the question a little bit and it wasn't directly, then, let us know in the chat or just unmute yourself and we'll go from there. Are we able to copy an email and use it as an attachment in another email? So there is the ability in the new Outlook, Andrea, to forward as an attachment. And then what you can do is if you have kind of both, and I'm holding, my camera's not on, but I'm holding both my hands up. Normally what I would do in a case like that, and the same exists in the current version of Outlook, is that if you bring up your new message and then you say forward as an attachment in another email, you can just drag that attachment over if you have some content that you have there.
That's kind of what I've been doing already, so I thought there was an easier way to do it.
Yeah, no, that doesn't seem to be. Not that I've discovered yet anyway.
Okay, thank you.
And the ability to add multiple accounts, not only can you do that in new Outlook, but you can also do that in new Teams as well, which is really nice. And the difference, because I know a lot of people have different accounts that they need to use in Teams. And you can see here that I actually have my account, but also my training account in new Teams. And you get alerts for both accounts as long as you're signed in, which is nice. So you don't have to switch out of each account like you do in classic Teams. So that's nice. And then in new Outlook, you can see here, I also have both accounts here. And you just do that by clicking here, add account. And it will pop open this box. And now you could just put in the new account that you want to add as well. So hopefully that answered that question. So also though with Kim, when you say will everything remain the same, what do you mean exactly by that?
I just have two separate, we have our department one that we routinely check in the department, and I just want to make sure that that will be accessible so I can view it, which I believe you just did say we can. So I just want to be able to monitor that in addition to my own account.
Of course.
So they're both a visual and I can have them there. That's all. Thank you.
Absolutely. You're welcome.
Okay.
And you can also, depending on how you want to see things. So for example, like in the favorite section, you can favorite the inbox for both accounts so that they both live at the top here in the favorite section. So right now I only have my regular account favorited. The inbox is favorited up here, but if I wanted to, I can also favorite the inbox to my training account to also stay up here so that it's easy to see the most important things that I want to see. And then I could just close out the rest, kind of minimize the gibberish, if that helps. So there are definitely some ways around that for sure. How can I stop Outlook from giving me top results at the top when I search? What do you mean exactly by top results? So like, are you searching for a file? Are you searching for, it's always going to pull Usually if you're in your current mailbox, it's just going to pull anything with the word that you type. So like if I type tech, it's going to pull up any email that has the word tech in it, any person that has the word, again, similar to the Teams one that I showed before. So I don't know if you wanted to clarify that a little bit.
I will say, if anyone here is as, I want to say as old as I, or has been here as long as I have, and remember when we used to use GroupWise as an email client, I used to love the ability to mark something as unread, and it would keep it at the top of my inbox. And using Outlook never allowed you to do that. So for me, the most powerful feature that I've been using in the new Outlook is the ability, as Theresa showed, to pin messages, and then they're always right at the top of my inbox, so that I know the things that I need to pay attention to.
Yeah, I think pinning messages is probably one of my favorite features of the web or new Outlook for sure.
Absolutely.
That classic Outlook doesn't have. Yes, Laura, I see the mail merge. I think that is something you're saying you couldn't do an email merge in Word if you were in new Outlook. Can you clarify on that a little bit?
Yes. So I do an email merge sometimes to send like an individual message to each person.
Yep.
And I have new Outlook said I did my merge and nothing happened. Nothing was getting sent. I did it again, nothing sent. And so after a few minutes of trying, I went, oh, maybe I need to switch back. And as soon as I switched back, the merge worked fine.
That's interesting. Okay, good. I'm glad you brought that up to us for sure.
I like that one because we do that in HR as well.
Yep. And it just seems like mail merge in general across new Outlook and new Teams is not working the way it should.
And keep in mind, that's also why they have these things in preview. So typically what Microsoft says is when you see that kind of toggle for new Outlook or new Teams, that's the Microsoft indicator that within a year, that option's going to go away, and you kind of have that year to play with it. And they also depend on people or provide feedback and say, hey, mail merge isn't working. You need to get this to work. And then they monitor those forums and those requests on people saying this isn't working, this disappeared, and they fix it along the way. So as Theresa mentioned, mail merge may not work today, this afternoon, tomorrow, next week, next month, it may. But in the interim, we kind of have to follow those things and watch it, understanding the way in which the organization uses the tools. And it'll be kind of on us, being like Theresa and I in the IT group, to pay attention to those types of things and say, okay, we need to, we'll talk to Microsoft directly and say, do you plan to address it? And if not, we'll just kind of keep a watch on the releases. There is a crazy planner that we have that actually ties us directly into all the Microsoft updates by the hundreds, by the way. And we try to keep an eye on that and its implications, if you will. So we try to keep on top of that, and then we'll communicate as necessary.
Yep. I second that. And also being able to copy an email. So we'll definitely write that one down too, Andrea. Copy an email.
Yeah, that's the same thing we talked about earlier with you. Everyone, forward as an attachment, and then you drag it into your message and send it that way. It'd be nice if they created a one-step process instead of multiple.
Right, like people were saying that in classic Outlook, you could just right-click on the attachment and it'll give you the copy option, and then you can paste it in a new email. But apparently in new Outlook, you can't do that.
Yeah.
So you have to basically go in, download it, and then drag it into a new email. Again, is it a crisis? No, but it's extra steps, and we don't want to add extra steps. The goal is to always eliminate steps.
Okay. Theresa, I do have to drop, Theresa, so I'll let you solo the rest of this, and we'll just keep a list of these things. If we can't address them today, we'll get back to everyone with what we find out.
Yep.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Bye-bye.
So, Jonathan, I see you asked a question about Teams Publisher.
Yeah, it's a small thing, because when I give assignments to kids, like if you use PowerPoint, Excel, or Word, like if I give them a template, the kids can they can work on it and I can see it in real time. Like I can actually watch what they're doing, and then even when they hand it in, I can view. But if I give them, it's always been this way. If I give them Publisher, they have to download it and work on it, and then
Oh,
they'll send it to me and hand it. It's a small thing, but I like to, it allows me easily to know who's like been working and who doesn't. And when they,
definitely.
yeah, and it's always worked automatically for PowerPoint, Excel, and Word. It's just, sign it
Have
and
you have you guys tried to use Cami for that or no?
I have not. I should try. I don't know, see if that's more Teams friendly.
Try Cami. Let me know if that does anything or makes it easier or better for you, but I'll also look into Teams Publisher as well.
Yeah.
And give you some kind of feedback on that.
And I'm using the new Outlook. I don't even have on the web-based version, I don't even have the option to, like you do, to switch it back, but I know I have all the features I've been using.
On the web version, you don't have the option
No,
to
I don't have
toggle it on?
I don't have the little thing, but I have all the features that you've been going over,
Oh, for Outlook, you talking about? Oh, yeah, no, the Outlook is just the web version is new Outlook. There's no way to turn it back. Yeah, but new Teams in the web.
Okay. You can switch
now
that.
we can turn it. Yep. Now you can toggle that on and off. Yep.
And then the only other thing, Teams, it seems to be getting better. You know how if you log on a new computer and you have to, it seems to be getting a little bit better about when you log on, making it a little easier to get Teams. It is still a process. So I always tell people, like, if we have a CSE or something and you're using like our computer in the conference room, you need some time. But I have noticed that it's getting a little bit easier. It's not as cumbersome. You don't have to like download and open the file anymore.
Yeah. And new Teams is supposed to, that's one of their features. It's supposed to be faster as well. So hopefully you are seeing that it is a little bit faster too. And it also depends on the device. Like if it's an older device, sometimes that also creates conflict.
Yeah, it seems to be finally, like, even if you just type Teams into Google, if it says Nassau BOCES and you click that, it kind of is automatically downloading for you now rather than going through this like cumbersome process. Because we have a lot of people that move computer to computer in the building. Yeah. So it's, they have to do that. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, no, definitely. Of course. What else? I'm just going through the chat. I just want to make sure we've addressed everyone. Elizabeth, you said, in my day, what happens to my task list at the end of the business day? Well, no, that's the only other thing. That's the one thing about the to-do list that I don't particularly like, unless you set it as like an, if you set it as a due date. Not my best favorite feature, to be honest with you. The task list and the to-do list. If you open the to-do app on your desktop, it does give you more features. Anything in my day will not move over, but anything in your to-do list, you will always have in your to-do list. I don't know if that helps clarify that.
It does. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. But I definitely recommend, if you are using the to-do feature, to to open it up with the app on your desktop. Like you could search here for to do, and you may have to download it, which you probably do. Like even on this computer, I don't have it downloaded, but you can click here and then click here to download it for Windows. It shouldn't bring up any permissions or anything like that because it's a Microsoft product. But if it does, obviously just reach out, put a ticket into customer care. And then you get the to-do icon on the bottom of your screen here. And then when you open that, it does give you some more features, like seeing the different lists that you've created, not just my day. My day, for some reason, just stays with my day. And if you don't do it, it goes away. It's kind of a weird thing. So that's why it's not my favorite.
Okay. In the to-do then, will that accumulate each day almost like a calendar?
Yeah, like a to-do list. And then you can set end dates and due dates and stuff like that. Yep.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, and definitely download it and play with it a little bit. And if you want to meet one-on-one and we can go over some other things, definitely reach out to me and we'll schedule a one-on-one for sure.
All right, great. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. I'm just gonna see if in the web version, there should be an app in the web version too. Yes, here it is. So you can also go to the web version, click the waffle and search for Microsoft To Do, and you'll see those same features, even if you don't want to download the app itself. But you can see here, there's my day, planned, assigned to me, flagged emails, and tasks. But then you can also create your own new lists here. So this gives you some more features than just that basic My Day feature, which you see in Outlook. And you can see that here. But these actually held. They may have updated this because this is what I have on My Day, and these are old. So they may have updated that feature. But we could definitely, if it's something you want to use, let's dig into it a little bit further and let me know, and we can meet and kind of work through it.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. I'm also going to put these 2 links in the chat because I want you guys to have Microsoft's kind of version of what new Outlook features will be and what new Teams features will be. So I want to make sure you have both of these. And I'll also put these links in the follow-up email that I send out tomorrow for the webinar. So you just have access to those. And let me just go through this one more time. Yes, drag and drop attachments is definitely, and just dragging and dropping emails is one of my favorite features too. I think it makes it super fast. Yep, Brittany, you could reorder them and prioritize them, which is really nice. Yep. I think I handled everyone's questions in the chat. If I didn't, please definitely let me know. Unmute. The things that you've all brought up, like I said, we've definitely already kind of have an idea of that they are, not working exactly how they should. So we have a list. We will keep an eye out for them for sure and keep you updated, as these features hopefully get pushed out into the new Teams and new Outlook as things progress with Microsoft. Otherwise, I will hang out here if anybody wants to, ask more questions or unmute or anything, and I will be here to answer them. If not, have a great afternoon. I know we went over a little bit like we unfortunately usually do, but in the meantime, have a great afternoon. Thank you for joining. Keep passing on the message about webinars every month. And as always, if anybody needs my support, please book some time with me, reach out to me through Teams or email.